for 2 years. I'm like, every time I get to the Sunday night game, Peps, I'm always like, next year I'm going.
We need to go and gather rounds because like I'm seeing this, I'm seeing beautiful football jumpers. I'm just getting excited. I've seen some photos. It's great access to the players, quality football, which if that doesn't get you excited, nothing will. But we're going to get into all that because there's lots and lots to talk about. So, J-Dog, before I get into the 5-minute review and obviously the topics that we want to talk about, you asked me, Peps, I want to take control of the show. I want to talk about something that you need to get off your chest. And so let me hand it over to you. I'm even going to put you on full screen. So
thanks, mate.
So you have full screen access just so everybody can see the gorgeousness that is you.
Thanks, mate. All right. So first off, everyone, thank you for all your well wishes last week and checking in on how I was. Yes, a disappointing loss, but I can tell you that my absence was nothing to do with Port Adelaide kicking themselves out of the game against Melbourne. As disappointed as I was, happy for Peps. We did have a bit of banter during the week, but I was fine. But Peps, it's a bit of a long one. It's a bit of thank you for the patience with the people here, part of our show, but also to you. Here's the reality of it. Last week I was sick, so there was absolutely no way that I could do the show. The week before that, when we had to change our schedule, it was because my kids woke up. I've got 3 kids under 5 years old, and sometimes, as you know, with kids, life can go sideways quickly. And unfortunately, that's what happened with our show. So, Peps, what it is actually for you. It's an appreciation for being a co-host with the most. I know you say it to me back the other way, but it's back to you because I called you last week at around 3 o'clock after seeing the doctor, and I was like, mate, there is absolutely no way that I could make the show happen or make the show for last week to discuss all the things. I mean, it was Melbourne versus Port. We're going to do a review on it. We had all these show planned, but it couldn't happen. So, Peps, it's an appreciation for what you did last week because running that show by yourself for what you did off little notice and to host a professional show was outstanding. And I know it's our job. We both work in adult learning. It's our job to do things like that. But it was an outstanding piece of work by you, and I'm sure that the listeners all appreciated it.
Oh, I appreciate that. Look, I appreciate it. My main concern was you and your health because I know what it's like when there's not feeling well and you have to, sometimes you get home and you're like, got to do this show tonight. But you know who we do it for. We do it for all the people out there. And so for you to say that, thank you very much.
That's okay. More
Yep. Oh.
No, that's all right. I've got my 5 minutes here, Peps.
Oh, I thought you wanted that was it. Oh, keep going. Sorry.
Not at all. Sometimes our schedules change. So if Peps and I send a message out on a Monday saying we're going to move the show, it's because probably it'd be me, not Peps. It'd be me needing the schedule to be changed, not Peps, because Peps is locked in solid. I'm the flaky one when it comes to this sort of stuff. So once again, Peps, thank you for that, and thank you to listeners being part of that. Okay, that's 1 point. 2 point. Point number 3. You may have noticed that the show has changed a little bit this year, and it's round 5. We can talk about it. Peps and I made a decision at the end of last year that we're not going to do what we've been doing for so many years. This is now our 7th season together, and we discussed about what drives us as a podcast and what doesn't drive us as a podcast. And it came down to simply one question. What do we enjoy talking about? And it was, we enjoy talking about football. We don't enjoy talking about 9 games and stats and meters gained and kicks per and defensive percentages. We don't care about that. This year, and you've noticed it, and we've got your feedback from it all, that we're just talking about footy topics. Just 2 guys chatting about footy topics. So thank you for everyone has engaged with what we have done this year a little bit more than ever last year. Our numbers have been good for us. We're not Fox Footy. We're not those channels.
Yeah, and for anybody who thought that we were retiring off this, not yet. It's going to take a while. Probably by season 86, we might make $1.
We might. We are definitely not making money off this. We're just two dads with a podcast, and we just like talking about football. So that's what it is this year. If that's not for you in terms of the show and what you come in and want breakdown of individual games and how it all works, there's plenty of podcasts. There's Fox Footy. There's other channels, SEN, to delve in and have your stats to your heart's content. But for us, it's just a footy chat, and that's what this year is for us, and moving forward will be for us.
Yep.
So Peps, that's my 3 points. Thank you everyone for my 5 minutes.
No, thank you. No, that's awesome. Absolutely awesome to hear because I've had a few people ask me, hey, you're doing something a little bit different this year. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, we are doing something a little bit different this year. And the reason why we wanted to do something a little bit different was simply because you can listen to everybody else if you want stats and if you want all that hoity-toity and if you can go to First Crack if you want your stats with Kingy. But there's so many other things that don't get discussed or don't get brought up wholeheartedly. Too much fluff. So we just like to put our beautiful spin on it, and people like it, and people don't. And you know what? That's cool. That's a great thing. You've got choice, bro. And so I appreciate everything. J-Dog, he's just an absolute superstar. And yeah, he was crook last week. That's okay. But we are making changes. And we're getting lots of actually positive feedback. I actually want to put a special sort of speech out before we get into the swing of things. One of our listeners last week actually said, Peps, I can't even hear you on the podcast. I use a completely different host. Don't use Spotify. I use Pocket Casts. Send us a message. We got it fixed. So for all the people using the Pocket Casts, I'm thinking, where have we gone? We changed things over. So without that, now you can listen to us. So I know it's been 7 minutes. We normally get into the footy right now, and there's people asking us questions. But we just had to get into it. So awesome stuff. All right. I do actually have a rant that I'm going to go on, and it's based off something that I heard on the Sunday football show. It happened last week, but something that also happened on the Friday as well, J-Dog, that I've got to get into. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Okay. J-Dog, let's get into it. First and foremost, let's have a look at this ladder because the ladder itself has had a bit of movement over the last 24 hours. All right, GWS on top of the ladder with Melbourne, Sydney, and Carlton. Now, you have to look at this a little bit objectively because Melbourne have played one more game, and so have Sydney. Carlton and GWS are the undefeated teams there. You've got the Geelong Cats, Port Adelaide, Fremantle, and the Western Bulldogs rounding out the 8. Interestingly enough, you've got 5 teams on 16 points, 2 on 12, and you've already got a gap of another 5 teams on 8. St Kilda just out, Gold Coast, Collingwood, Essendon. Then you've got Brisbane getting their first win of the weekend, Richmond, who are very, very stiff. And then you've got Donut City, Adelaide, Hawthorn, North Melbourne, and the Wet Toast Eagles. 0 points. Mind you, they were very, very good on the weekend. And I really hoped that they were going to pinch that, but they just couldn't get over the line on a percentage of 50.5. All right, J-Dog, question for you. I'm going to throw this one out to you right away. Looking at that ladder right now, where do you see the movers, the shakers? Do you see anything really happening? How many of those teams do you think are locked into the top 8? How many teams do you think can jump in? Well, I know it's early days, but we've already got a bit of separation.
Yeah, great question. Look, there's sometimes they say, and the simple thing is the ladder doesn't lie. From the footy I'm seeing at the moment, it's kind of telling that story. Like all those teams have looked absolutely rock solid and had their wins and have played great football. Like, there's no one up there I'm thinking it's overinflated for them. I think that's all pretty genuine wins.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now going, they've all been good wins. Let's be honest, GWS haven't really played anyone except for Collingwood. They've played North. They've played West Coast. And who's the third one that they've played? Which wasn't much chop either. So, but they are playing great footy, so we'll keep that. Melbourne, they'll be interesting. This week's game will be an absolute rip snorter, which we'll get into very, very shortly. Yeah, I reckon maybe 6 out of those 8 are locked in, and I'd almost go the first 6.
Yeah.
I reckon the first 6 are locked in already.
Western Bulldogs are probably the ones that I'm probably thinking are the shakiest.
Yep. And I think it's either going to be Collingwood or GWS to jump in. Great
So the
question.
rest-
Hey, great point to come out already. Have a look at this. How good's our listeners? So open this year. No standout will come down to injuries. That is just perfect.
Nailed it.
He's nailed it, Mossy. Great work. Great to have you on board again as well. All righty. JD, going to hide that. We're going to get rid of that later. Let me get into my 5-minute wrap up of the footy of the round that was gather around. It all goes back a couple of days ago, back to the Adelaide game. These played Adelaide Crows. It was a 15-point margin. Melbourne did get away. Adelaide did claw back a little bit in the last quarter. But let's be honest, Melbourne had played 2 games in 5 days. They were cooked. They were stuffed. And they were literally just trying to conserve the win by the end of it. But if they said 2 games against Adelaide teams in 5 days was a club nightmare, they took it as a business trip. Absolutely stunning. You sent me a message. Bailey Fritsch is a freak. He can turn a game in 10 minutes, and he did it again on the weekend. 3 goals in about 12 minutes. Amazing. Judd McVee just throwing in the back line. He had 11 first quarter possession. Stephen May with buggered up ribs. They're playing good footy at the moment, and I think the thing I like about what the D's are doing, they're not as predictable. So I reckon Andrew McWalter coming in has said, hey, you know what? You guys were pretty easy to play against. We knew what you were going to be doing. They're switching the ball. They're doing lots of things. It's really awesome to watch. So the D's, Adelaide are in massive trouble. Everybody knows that. No Tex, no Adelaide. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah, they got dramas, and I don't know how it's going to get better, and if it's going to get better in the next couple of weeks. All right, the Friday game, Brisbane versus North Melbourne. Didn't see much of this game because I was out at Groundhog Day, the musical with the family. I would strongly recommend it, everybody. If you haven't had a chance and you live in Melbourne, go watch it. Absolutely sensational. I think it was just basically 1 quarter of football that blew them away. North don't have a back line. So as soon as you get it past halfway, they're going to be in trouble. That's what happened. Cameron came back. Danaher hit kick 5. Hipwood kick 4. It was pretty much a training run to the point that they even put Neil onto the bench by the end of it. Like, it was just that easy for them. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. North, we know what they are. We know what we're going to expect. They just don't have the firepower down back. This is the game I'm going to throw over to you, big fella, because Port Adelaide at the same time defeated the Essendon Edge. Now, I talked about Bailey Fritsch being able to turn a game around. Connor Rosie, he's built like a stick, but geez, when he swings that stick, he clobbers people over the head. How good was he on Friday night?
Oh, it's just a midfield. I mean, it almost justifies why Port went so heavily to get Horn Francis. Like that trio is just going to be exciting for the next 10 years. Like Rosie, Butters, and Horn Francis. Chuck in Willem Drew, chuck in quite a few of our other young mids. It's exciting as a Port supporter. I'm bloody excited by it.
I love Horn Francis. Long socks. Like, has the socks up. Like, I love it. Him and Tuke Miller just love just a sock up action. But you're right. They're just a young, hard trio. And the week before, when it was Viney, Petrarca, Oliver, you would have loved to have had, instead of Boak, had Horn Francis in there and just seeing the dogs go at it. Soldo's been great for you coming in. Radical has been great for you as well too. There's still some issues with your forward line. Dixon's not playing super well, but a game like that, like, we're gonna talk up about a topic in a moment about 2 particular teams and who has been most disappointing out of the 2. But gee, Essendon, like, for all the talk that they've thrown up, they just don't serve it up. Their midfielders are pretty much one-paced. They've got no aggression in there. Zach Merritt, so much love for him. He is just holding that midfield up. And that they are the Casper the Ghosts. 1 minute you can see them and they scare the crap out of you. And then next minute they disappear and you don't see them for ages. Like, which Essendon's going to turn up? I'd hate to be an Essendon supporter right now. I'd be scared. Yeah.
Can I put it out there?
Yeah.
To all the Essendon faithful, do you have a bit of Draper fatigue? Is Draper living up to your standards? Because from a small pocket of people, of Essendon people that I speak to, he doesn't do the basics well. He doesn't chase, doesn't tackle, refuses to get involved in the game, and they're sick of him playing like a millionaire footballer with $10 in his pocket. They're sick of seeing it.
Do you know what we should do? Remember when Mr. Burns came out to Daryl Strawberry and said, cut those sideburns? He needs to cut his hair, because if he cut his hair and, stops a bit of the look at me. But they are, look, you just have a look at their teams, and Gresham, he's been a great pickup for them. Kicked 3 on the weekend. Perkins, injured again. Stringer, 1 goal, 9 possessions. Doesn't do enough. Harry Jones, doesn't do enough. Draper, doesn't do enough. Hind, doesn't do enough. I could go through this entire list of Essendon players, and Caldwell had a good game. Cox and Dersma, at least they're having a go. Like, Dersma's pulling his weight, but it looks like if
they're wingers. They're essentially wingers.
Essendon originals, they're not doing anything. Goldstein makes no sense why they got him. I should only use him as a backup. Heppel's still trying to pull his weight off halfback. Langford, I'll give him a pass mark because he's been really good for quite a long time for Essendon, outside of Peter Wright. Didn't do anything on the weekend, so I'll give him a... But Laverde was down. Nick Martin had another 35, but I don't know how many of those were kickouts. Andy McGrath, 16. Somebody said, is Andy McGrath the worst number 1 draft pick in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years? It's an interesting one when you throw Jack Watts in there. No offense to Jack, but Parrish, Redmond... They're the same, mate. They're same. I'd be, people say that I pick on Essendon quite a fair bit. Mate, I don't have to pick on anything when you go down by 69 points against Port Adelaide, who were beaten by the D's on their home deck last week. And then when you see what happened on the Saturday afternoon when West Coast had a massive crack against Sydney, I just don't know whether it was a neutral ground. I don't know if it was West Coast just trying something different. Harley Reid is a freakazoid. Like, is he their best player already? That was being thrown around a little bit. I love his fend-offs. I love the way that he attacks the ball. But Sydney literally just got the job done. And I reckon if West Coast had probably 4 more guns in that team, they may have had a chance of beating them. But I just think talent-wise, they just didn't have enough to get across the park. And Isaac Heaney, look, that's the one I'm going to go to, is having a career best season, leading the Brownlow. He is just amazing. And it's the same names again, J-Dog. Goulden, Blakey, Chad Warner, McInerney. Awesomeness. Grundy. It was good to have a nice close game, but yeah. This was the controversial game. Everybody knows what happened, so we're not going to go what happened in terms of why the free kick was paid and all that sort of jazz. But Fremantle, Carlton, what an absolute belter of a game. Pissed off that Freo didn't win it because they should have won it and they stole defeat from the jaws of victory. Don't get me started on this touched kick and all that sort of jazz. You win a game over 120 minutes means you have to win it over 120 minutes, not 117 minutes. You got to take it all the way to the end, and they made some mistakes at the end. And Carlton, like they do, is just they've jumped on it. I think is that their 10th game in a row where they've won by less than 10 points or 10 points or less.
Something like that, yeah.
Yep. So eventually that has to stop. We saw it's happened a little bit with Collingwood, but bank those wins. When you're winning, you're grinning. And when you're losing, no one talks about it. So Fremantle got a bit of work to do there, but they have. Jackson was better. The young bloke that they had on the wing, I can't remember his name. Connor? Something right. Sharp. Not even close. Sharp. Absolute ripper as well, too. So they got some width there. Their forward line, once they get that humming with a miss, Taberner and the other big guy as well. A miss. Oh, I know his name is off the tip of my tongue. They're going to be all right as well, too. I do think they've missed Lockie Schultz, though. They haven't had anybody to come in and come up at his feet. Doggies versus Cats. Another belter, 4 points. Doggies probably played the best they have all year. If anybody wants to tag Jeremy Cameron, please put your hand up. Like, how can he have 30? How can he have 30, J-Dog?
What's your forward having 30?
Oh, it reminded me of Richo on the wing when he almost won the Brownlow. That's what it was like many, many, many moons ago. He was just everywhere. Was Stengel's mark a mark? You've got to control the ball all the way across the line. not just touch it first. You got to hold it across the line. So I think that there's something there. They seem to be changing the rule of the week again, but good game. That's what footy's all about. Suns and GWS set the record for the most first-round draft picks to ever play a game together on the one park. I think there was 42 first-rounders in that game playing on the weekend. Jesse Hogan's a freak. Flanders is a freak. Cornelio's just a gun. Noah Anderson, who I picked for the Brownlow, gun. Wits, 38 hitouts again. Toby Green, 5 goals, 1. Did he get a week? Do we know if he got reported or if he's got a week for that yet? Does anybody know? I'm not too sure if it's been announced at this particular moment in time. GWS did what they had to do, and you can already see the Damien Hardwick effect is already making a difference to Gold Coast. And yep, I know we say give them a bit of time, but they are stacked from end to end, and they are going to be awesome sooner than later. So when it hits, don't worry about the orange tsunami. The sunburn is going to kill everybody. Tigers versus Saints. Tigers got out to 5-goal lead. The Saints decided to have a second quarter for the ages, kicking 6, tying it up, and then were able to scrape across by 7 points at the end. Did you see Max King's goal from the boundary? Check side?
No.
Oh, very J-Dog. Get on the highlights. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Shai Bolton, I said he was a bit of a downhill skier a number of weeks ago. Stuck it up me a little bit because he played an absolute corker as well on the weekend. A bit of dusty action. Richmond, they're not as bad as people think. And I think they're actually a little bit better with no Tom Lynch in the team as well too. We've also got Collingwood versus Hawthorn. What a game as well. 5 points in that one. Hawthorn really took it up to Collingwood. I think it says more about Hawthorn having a crack. Hardwick down forward. Like, he kicked bags of goals in the NAB League, Coates League. They put him down, kicked 4 in 10 minutes.
That was a shift of the game.
That was a shift of the game, and maybe something that they've got to have to do as well. Hawthorn are young. You expected Collingwood to win by a hell of a lot more, but I'm still not rating Collingwood at the moment. They're not right. They're just not where they need to be. They are like Brisbane a little bit. So from the quality of the games, well, 5 games less than 15 points or 15 points or less when it came down to the overall margins. But from a tipster's perspective, like, I know a hell of a lot of people who picked 9 on the weekend. I picked 9. My daughter picked 9. So it wasn't hard from a tipster's perspective, but I think the quality of the game and the gather round in all is, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I think it's something to do with Adelaide. They've got the test down there. They've got the live golf. Now they've got gather round. You can't take gather round, has to stay in Adelaide, cannot go anywhere else. I know we've spoken about it before, but Adelaide they just do it better than anybody else. And thumbs up to them for an absolutely brilliant weekend. And that is my gather round roundup.
Love it. Good work, Peps.
Thanks, buddy. So what caught your eye? Anything out of over the weekend that made you go, oh yeah, it's a little bit exciting? Or
I'm not going to die on this cross, Peps.
Yep.
But how great was it seeing all the regional ovals just standing room only or temporary scaffolding put in for the stands? That to me was absolutely top shelf. Top shelf.
And I think people can relate to it. So for all the people who are watching this, who have played in the Essendon District Football League, there's a team that we play against called West Coburg. Now, their wings reminded me of the Norwood ground. Straight. They got straight wings all the way down. There's no width to their ground. And when I saw that, I thought that's a bit of a joke. But it's both sides. It is straight. And I'm sitting back going, that is gorgeous. That is what footy's all about. It doesn't have to be perfect. You adjust to the ground that you get on. 1 minute's longer. Some are wider. Some are thinner. Deal with it. Absolutely.
It was great. It was great. And it showcased everything of what Gather Round is, which really is a festival of football. And I think Adelaide just pull that off better because of the size of the town it is. Like, Melbourne has 5 games of football every week.
Yep.
And it gets lost in Melbourne. Like, let's be honest. Like, AFL, from people were saying that they were hopping off at Adelaide Airport, and from the minute you go off the airplane gates, there were banners, footy jumpers, flags. It was everywhere. That's amazing.
And I think the other thing that people have said too was just the access to the different teams, access to the players. Like the players knew that there's going to be people all around us. The number of photos we saw people just in the random streets with living legends, with current and past players, commentators, you name it. It is awesome. And I know rugby league have started it, but they play all of their games at the one stadium. I think it is up at Gold Coast, whatever. I think the way that we've spread it out is really good. The double headers are awesome. Like it's just, I don't think anybody else can do it. Perth can't do it. It's too far for everybody to go. Queensland, nah. I think the way that Adelaide have done it and the fact they're going to have one in the Barossa next year, they've already marked that one off. It's just going to be awesome. So yeah, well done. And I reckon 2025, we should make a conscious effort to go over. That would be awesome. Now, one thing I did have to ask you about is you've got a football sitting behind you right now.
I do.
I don't know if you can grab it.
Yeah.
Right now. We haven't seen that before, and it's caught my eye, besides the fact that you're sponsored by the Melbourne Cricket Club now. What is it? And yeah, give us the heads up.
All right. I'll go get it.
Jamie's just going over to grab the football for everybody who's listening to this on the podcast. It's in a Perspex. It's in a Perspex case. He's just put it back on the desk, and now he's putting on the headphones to explain.
So it is for those people who are just listening to us. It is in a case. It's a bit dirty. I'm sorry about that, but it is an official AFL Finals football.
Yep.
I can give you the pedigree. I can't tell you how I got it because that might be That might be breaking some rules. Other than to say that I acquired this football.
It wasn't from Ricky Nixon, I hope.
It wasn't from Ricky Nixon, and it wasn't from P. Diddy. I just want to clear that.
Didn't get it from P. Diddy, in return of other things?
So it is a 2013 Finals football. It is an original football, and I can tell you the exact game of where this ball came from. So I'll set the scene. It was the Collingwood versus Port Adelaide Elimination Final MCG Saturday night in 2013. This football, from the stories that I have been told, was kicked out on the member side wing by Chad Wingard, and it bounced its way down to the steps where a person known to me happened to get hit on the back of the leg, and all of a sudden the ball just jumped up under the jacket. Now, that ball has then made its way out of the ground.
Yep.
And has sat in said person's collection for a while. And finally, I have the 2013 game football from the Port Adelaide win against Collingwood Magpies in the elimination.
We need to get that footy and get the footage of the ball going out just for the certificate of authenticity.
You can Google it. It's when Chad Wingard literally scooted it from his kick down the boundary, and it just made its way down near the toilets, and it happened to just find itself under a jacket. Just as all footballs usually do, under a jacket or in an esky, especially if you're hanging out the back of Windy Hill when they used to put them over the back of the fence. Probably the Adelaide Oval as well too. Run and gun. Hey, side note to that, in the baseball, so the Major League Baseball, you can buy baseballs, like used balls, and when you open it, it has a QR code on it. Mm-hmm.
And then you can scan that QR code and it shows you the pictures that ball was used.
It's not about a money spinner, considering
it's not about a money spinner.
4,000 balls in a game.
Oh, I don't know. So when they use balls and they get scuffed or fouled or whatever, you're able to then just scan it and go with it too. So, rightio, J-Dog, I have a question for you. And this came up after watching the footy on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke a little bit about this team earlier on. But, J-Dog, who would you rather be right now? Would you rather be Hawthorn or would you rather be Essendon? One's had no wins. One's had two. Who would you rather be? Viewers, listeners, who would you rather be right now? Would you rather be Essendon or would you rather be Hawthorn? Like, subscribe, ring the bell.
I would probably be. I would rather be Hawthorn right now because I feel like there are some very, very, very pissed off Essendon supporters and have been pissed off for a very long time, seeing, as you identified earlier, the same from the football club, and all it is just talk and nothing changes. At Hawthorn, we're starting to see they're having more wins this on track. Hopefully, this season doesn't seem good so far, but they've been in games, but there was an improvement last year. I think we can see the improvements across Hawthorn. Essendon, it just looks like everyone has become one-paced, and I can't believe it's 2024 and we're still talking about soft tissue injuries for Essendon again.
I know. The interesting thing out of this, J-Dog, is when I look at it and you look from a statistical perspective, they are quite similar in the way that they're rolling things out. But, I watch Hawthorn and what they did on the weekend. Mind you, they lost. They haven't won a game. But you can see there is a game style there. The week when they played Melbourne, I think the week before, they were really bad. Like, they were just choppy all the way around. Mossy's come out with a bit of just merge them. He just merged the both. I don't think Hawthorn would take Essendon on, to be honest. But I don't know what, with no Peter Wright, it makes it a massive difference. I don't know. They have so many.
It can't be all one difference on an imported player.
Like, okay, who's their most damaging midfielder?
That's the problem. There is none.
They don't have any.
You'd have to say Merritt. But like, you're talking about stats the other day, and I think was it Hind? You said had 33 possessions.
Martin had 33.
Sorry. Once again, not damaging. He's the most undamaging AFL footballer out there almost.
So Merritt had 36. Martin had 35. Dersma had 26. Heppel had 25. Caldwell had 24. Parrish had 21. And then Kelly had 20, and everybody else had under that.
Watch it. Next time your team plays Essendon, watch Martin. You'd swear to God he's touched the ball 4 times, not 35.
Well, you get a possession for kicking it out of full back these days, J-Dog. We've had this conversation previously. And do you know the amount of punch-ons I had with people on the Facebooks about all of that and relating to whether it should be or it shouldn't be a possession?
I can imagine.
It's not a possession. Like, anyway, but they're so stagnant. And when you have a look at just the statistics behind it, and I know we're not a statistical sort of analysis side of things, but from a disposals perspective, they are outranking. But they're having, you look at Essendon and you think Hawthorn, rebuild, etc. Hawthorn are 1 scoring shot less a game. They're 2 tackles less per game. They're having more hit-outs. The freeze 4 are about the same. Hawthorn are giving away more free kicks. Now, that's understandable because if you're second of the ball quite a fair bit, you're going to give them away. Also, if you're a backman and your player's too strong for you, you're going to hold, you're going to put the arm around. It's just habit. So there's issues there as well too. But from an inside 50s perspective, they're getting more in there. Okay. They've got more contested possessions than Essendon. They've got almost the same when it comes to effective disposals. They've got a better disposal efficiency. Their clangers are exactly the same. They have more contested marks, more marks inside 50s. Essendon do have more clearances. They get more stoppage clearances. It's just, and even like from a 1%ers perspective, Hawthorn have more as well too. I could keep going all the way down. It is unbelievable. Meters gained, less turnovers, more intercepts. So, I mean, based on the numbers, and we said we don't want to focus on the numbers, Hawthorn are having the better season, but they haven't been able to get the reward on the scoreboard yet. And Essendon have been able to do so. They've got that win, that great win last week against St Kilda. And then obviously a win earlier in the season. But outside of that, one team's talking it up and the other one being Hawthorn are just going along with it. I would be shattered. And 2004 since they won a final, J-Dog. That's 20 years ago. You've got to get over the baby bombers. You've got to get over 2000. All right? Move on. Please, people. And they keep saying they're a big four. All right, throw it to you this way. Are they still a big four team?
I don't. My brain's biased to say yes, but I don't think. I think Pep's. It's not the generation of us who are saying this anymore. I think the generation of us are saying, "What the flipping hell, Essendon?"
Just say it. What the fuck is going on with them? No, literally, it is getting that serious. What is going on with them? Like, I thought that they were going to play, close to finals this year, but they've done it again to their supporters. They've done it again. Too many injuries. Too predictable. Stringer in 1 week, out for 4.
Yeah. No speed. No, there's no speed across the ground for that team, and it hasn't been forever.
No.
Anyway, so yes, I would rather be a Hawthorn than an Essendon Peps right now. But maybe it's just me, Peps. What are you?
I'm Hawthorn.
Yeah,
I can see what they're doing.
Listeners, what do you think?
Ginnivan, like, for all the critical he gets, he's actually a very smart, a very good footballer.
Yeah,
Chol has a crack every week. Mitch Lewis has a crack every single week. All right. Sicily has his brain farts with Sam Frost. Like, they're the brain fart brothers. But they're still good. They've got Newcomb in the middle. They've got Warple getting back to what he was. Got to remember, Will Day's not there. I'm looking, they've got Newcomb running through the middle as well. We spoke about Hardwick at the start. Like, there's so much upside, and I don't see who's the player you look at Essendon and go, oh, I'm excited to see where his development's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they played round one. They played round one. Sorry, they did. And Essendon won that one. But it wasn't by much, I don't think. But
it's just the club that comes out with trendy words to describe their football that doesn't actually live up, doesn't actually mean anything. And
this week, Friday night, they get the prime time slot against the Bulldogs, who have come off a great win. Oh, sorry, an amicable loss, if that makes sense, on the weekend against Cats. They will get slaughtered by them. And then the week after, they play the Crows in Adelaide, and that's a Friday night game. That's one where the broadcaster should call up and go, can we change it? Maybe put on some home improvement reruns or something?
Big couple of weeks for Essendon coming up.
Yep. It's coming in off the chat. Mossy's saying definitely the Hawks. Buzz, is great to see him on board, mate. Your boys were stiff. Your boys were great on the weekend to get that win and come back. So awesome to see, Buzz. Great to have you on the show, as always. But yeah, it's just so frustrating, and I'd love to hear from the Essendon supporters what you think, because I know you keep saying every week that you get stuck into us left, right, and center, and we get stuck into Essendon, but that's just the way it is. It's just very disappointing. It's very disappointing. J-Dog, I have to say something, and I've got to get this off my chest. Sunday footy show. I love watching the Sunday footy show. It's great. It's a little bit like us. They don't take it seriously, especially the start. And what caught my eye is something that always gets me a little bit excited. And I was interested to see the blowback that Kane Cornes got from Luke Darcy about comments that he's made previously about Cochin and Selwood and the way that they are on the TV, and a few other things he said over his time. And he's there to cause controversy. He's trying to be a bit of a Piers Morgan, etc. about that. And can I say this now? Looking down the camera to all the viewers right now, I love Kane Cornes. I love him. And I'll tell you why. He says what he feels. He doesn't care what other people think. Most of the time, actually more than most times, he backs it up with statistical analysis. He does not get sucked into the right here and right now. And what makes him different is that if he just says that he gets something wrong, he admits it. And if you remember last year when he was getting stuck into Ginnivan about his ducking, etc., and then Ginnivan came out and won the Anzac Day medal, I think, that year. What did he do? He went and dyed his hair. Do you remember when he did that?
Yep.
Now, there's a guy who comes out and says, yep, I got that one wrong. Too many other backslapping reporters and backslapping broadcasters sticking up for their mates when the quality of what they've served up has been absolutely putrid. Maybe have a look in your own backyard. The quality, now, just because Cochrane was a 3-time premiership captain, just because Joel Selwood played in 4 flags, does not make them automatically commentators. I don't know where this fascination comes from. Just because they were great on the park means that they can talk about. They're boring to listen to. And the quality of what they did, which was standing in front of a green screen with half their body cut off, looked amateur hour. Like what we roll out every Monday night looks so much better than the footage that they were showing. And the fact that they took that personally just goes to show how much of their own BO that they sniff every week. And so for Kane Cornes, you continue to do everything that you do. Stick up for the little person. And also don't get sucked into because it's the, because you might put a few people off. We need more people like you to tell it how it is and not to hurt other people's feelings.
Yeah. Here's my opinion on that whole piece of like ex-players coming in to commentate on games and stuff. You can't do both. You can't do both roles of being your mates and also to give to the public your honest opinion about stuff. You've got to pick a role, and I think that that's where those two in particular are too close to it still because they're trying to be best mates with their footy player mates, and they don't want to hurt people's feelings by saying what they honestly feel about it. Listen to commentators when they're about 5 or 6 years removed from the game, when there's probably been a list cycle through their club, and they become a lot more passionate and emotional about their own team. They just talk about it and the problems that they're seeing.
Yep. And so when I hear him say things and goes, look, I don't rate him. I think he's a joke. I think that he needs to work harder. I think that don't get carried away by one game. The perfect one was a number of weeks ago when Harry Mackay had a great game in front of goals. Oh, he's back. And I was like, well, hold on a second. That's his job. His job's to kick goals. He's on like close to $1 million a year. He kicks goals. He was just doing his job. Like, don't get like excited for the fact it's 100% true. Like, I think we get a little bit blown up by all that sort of stuff. And the whole superstar, I love it when he goes, well, they're not superstars. There are only a few people deserve to give that moniker. So we need more of him and less of the backslapping, because I'll tell you what, you listen to the backslapping on the Channel 7 commentary every week, and there's a lot of people tuning out for it. Because to the point that SEN brought out an app that allows you to sync the footy and not have to listen to BT and JB because of all the fluff.
Although, can we just give it, I don't know if you've done, have we done this yet? I don't think we have. An appreciation for Matt Hill.
Oh, Matt Hill, Alistair Nicholson as well.
Yes, as well. Yep. Just footy, just calling the game as the game is, not adding in all your superfluities and your halftime stories and stuff in, just calling the game play by play as it happens. Beautiful.
And just like us, let it breathe. Let the game breathe in front of your eyes.
We don't need you yelling out crappy names and
wowee,
shitty jokes and yeah. So actually, Peps, what you've said there just reminds me. It's almost like the old Batman where it used to be like pow and punch, like BT chiming in with that bullshit. Just let the game. The game is the theater.
And the game is the spectacle, not you. And they think that people are tuning in to listen to him, and it's absolute crap. Hey, can I say, whilst we've been throwing all that out, the chat has gone absolutely berserk. People are concerned. Rambo Kafari is concerned Friday night that the Dogs will tear them apart, and they don't deserve Friday night games. And Rambo is a massive, massive Essendon man. Buzz has basically said that he'd back me in a fight against Corns. Well, no doubt, because I've got a sexy mo. Rambo, again, we don't have anyone big enough to stop the Bont in the midfield. Back in for 3 votes this week. Well, someone's definitely going to get it. Cornsey, he's got plenty of things wrong and he will continue to do so. Yeah, probably he will buzz, but that's okay. He's allowed to make things. He's allowed to get things wrong. We've got also another one that's come through is Corns was a tagger, same as his commentary. Yeah, I like that. And Ramp Buzz again, racing, love my Matty Hill. Yep, a lot of love coming through for Matty Hill as well too. But yeah, that was my main thing that I heard on the weekend, and I'm like, nah, we've got to stop that. We've got to stop it because he's the only one adding some viability and some love to what people are listening to. All right, J-Dog.
Yes.
Games coming up this weekend. Like, goodness
can I just talk about the one thing we had on the show?
Yep.
Can we just stop with AFL boxing matches? Can we just stop with them? This came up last week, and the whole gather around football and grudge matches and stuff like that. It just feels so antiquated and so, I'm gonna say it, just shit. It's just boring. Like, did you get any buzz from it at all? Any excitement from it? Really?
I didn't get any buzz from it. No, I didn't get any buzz from it, but I thought it was, no harm. No harm. It's going to go again next year.
Two 60-year-old blokes hammering at each other, and then I saw the highlights from the Kane Corns and Nathan's fight. They just look like two people who should be a lot better at boxing. Having
not Cornsey, no, not Cornsey, but
they were both bad.
Got paid probably 6 figures to do that, to lose weight, throw punches for 8 minutes.
I thought Nathan Brown was a good boxer. Apparently not.
Definitely not.
Well, Cornsey had no defense. Like, he was just everything went through him. But
no. It would have been like Damien Barrett on Luke Beveridge or Chris Scott.
But it just feels like something from the 90s that just needs to live in the 90s. I think
we're trying to goes all right.
We're trying to cash in on the Jake Paul and Tyson stuff, maybe. But I just feel like it was just no one asked for it, and if it didn't happen, no one would care.
Logan Paul did win the United States title at WrestleMania Night 2 today. So
I did see that.
Yeah, great stuff. Great main event too. Have a look at that.
Anyway, so I just think I don't know boxing matches now these days. I just feel like it's a bit of
it's a farce. It's a farce. Rightio. So this looks like it's going to be the last round before Melbourne have their bye next week, which means that after next week we're going to be even Stevens, all teams playing 5 games. But this week, round 5, it's all kicking off. J-Dog, games I'm looking forward to. Thursday night, Melbourne versus the Lions. If Melbourne are the real deal, they have to take care of the Lions this week. You cannot give them a sniff. For every game that they lose in Brisbane, they have to lose another one in Melbourne. We cannot give them a chance to get a home final. Melbourne have to do the right thing by the other 16 clubs in the league to knock them off. That is going to be a corker.
I would love to say something here.
Yep.
I don't know if it's just you, but it feels like to me Melbourne still has something to prove. I feel like people aren't taking Melbourne seriously.
Yep, I'm happy for that.
Do you feel that?
Yep, I'm happy for it.
Okay, all right. I just think I'm with you. I think they have to win this game, but there's no reason why they have to win this game because the Lions are 13th, Melbourne are 2nd, and yet it feels like a must-win game for Melbourne still.
Yeah, I think it's just a must-win game because people still don't believe, even though what they've done over the last X amount of weeks. It doesn't matter because, you could be 2nd or 3rd and it doesn't really matter unless you're one of the top 4. Essendon, Western Bulldogs, that'll be a corker. I'm really scared for Essendon, but this could surprise us and they win by 5 goals. And you can just sit back and go, where's that gone? GWS Saints, go with GWS, but that's just because it's home. Carlton versus Adelaide, that writes its own. Gold Coast versus Hawks.
This will be a good game.
Adelaide, no, this will be a good game. Port Adelaide, your mob versus Freo, big dog. At home. Someone's going to come out of this the real deal.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. Who's going to be the real deal? I have more faith in your mob when it comes to that one.
Yeah.
Cats North. And there is the potential for West Coast to get their first win against Richmond. If they serve up what they did last week, they are a massive chance to win that against Richmond.
Harley Reid's just he's hitting he's hitting all the spots for me at the moment.
Just got rid of that hair and had a man haircut, not that boy haircut. Oh, he could date my
He's still a bit marshmallowy as a puffy 18-year-old, but he's
like
got it all.
his first year Horns Francis like. Wait till his third year Horns Francis like.
Yeah,
Oh.
chiseled.
But mate, lots to stay tuned for. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody who's tuned in, thank you very much who's tuned into the podcast. If you watch us on YouTube, watch us on Twitch, watch us on Facebook, watch us on Twitter. Thank you very much. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell, everybody. Yep. And also, Harley Reid had 11 broken tackles. Next best in the league is tracking to go with 9. He is a bull. Joe Michael. He is a bull. A little bit like yourself, Mr. Michael, an absolute gun. And he's already their best player. But that means that we come back next week for round 5 of footy. Peps, J-Dog, my great man, thank you for tuning in once again. And more importantly, to everybody out there, I hope your team wins. J-Dog, how do you want your footy?
I want to lace out.
Have a great week, listeners. Go D's.
See you, listeners.